I was in the emergency room a couple of months ago. One of my family members was in there with heart problems. You can guess which mom or dad it was. And I was watching as the people were sick and they were desperate. I mean, there were people with broken legs. There were people bleeding. There were people moaning and groaning in pain. And they're in the hallways. They're in the waiting room. There's people getting angry. And then when the doctor finally shows up, the delight that comes across the sick people's faces, it's just awesome, isn't it? I mean, if you could just stop and watch people, they're just, all of a sudden, they're filled with a little bit of hope. How much hope they have when the doctor finally says, I'm here to help. Let's go get the x-rays done. Let's go see what's going on. Let's go do the physical examination. Now, here's the thing about the church. It's a hospital, but we're not the doctors. We're just other sick patients pointing people to the doctor. That's what we're all about. Pointing people to Jesus. When you show up, do people have hope in their eyes or do they run the other way? Do they see you as somebody who can point them in the right direction? Go down the hall, take a right. Or let me hold your hand and bring you right to Jesus. That's the church's job. Jesus hung out with sinners. The church is to be like Jesus, so we get to hang out with sinners. The church is a hospital for all kinds of people where the Christian can sit next to the non-Christian, where the straight person can sit next to the gay person, where the Republican can sit next to the Democrat, where the porn addict can sit next to the soccer mom who's protecting her kids, where the businessman can sit next to the bum. That's what the King's Court was about. That's what the church is about. Now, am I sitting here saying that all those kinds of people and all of us are to come here and just say, we're okay with everybody's sin? No, I'm not saying that at all. Jesus wasn't okay with it. What happens is that Jesus changes people. He changes them. He forgives them. Finally, at the King's Court, grace is the main course. It's the main course. Like I said earlier, the Pharisees had a banquet where basically they barred anybody but Pharisees from coming in. The main course there was food that nobody else could afford but them. At Jesus' banquet, the main course is grace. At the Pharisees' banquet, the Pharisees didn't want to be contaminated. They were like school moms, when there's a lice outbreak at school. You guys ever been a part of one of those? I remember when I was going to school at Red Lion, when I was just a little kid, I heard about this thing called lice for the first time. And some dirty kid had lice. Probably wasn't even that dirty. I think it was my brother. But they start investigating every single kid at the school. And, everybody. I remember they had to go outside, sit in a chair. They put plastic around you, and there's like one of the school mom volunteers is like, ew, 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 ew. And they're picking through your hair with the combs and everything. Some of you are getting grossed out by just sitting here right now. You're like, ew, I hate lice. I hate it. And they sit there and they pick through it, and you're sitting there as a little kid just hoping upon hope. I pray I have bugs on my head. I pray I have it because I get to go home. And the Pharisees, they kind of acted that way. I'm going to comb through everybody's hair, and we're going to panic when somebody shows up that we don't want to show up. I don't want our church to be that way. Jesus doesn't want our church to be that way. He wants you to sit next to people with lice in their hair. He wants you to help them pick it out. I know that sounds really gross to you, and it should, because it shows how gross sin is. But we're supposed to be there showing them Jesus.